Hi all, my name is Ryan and welcome to my channel What the Pop, where we discuss pop culture in general and Buffy a lot. So first up, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Buffy at least once, I may talk about things in each episode that relate to future plot points. So if you don't like spoilers, I suggest you subscribe and come back after you've watched it all. Now, I know that Welcome to the Hellmouth and The Harvest, the second episode, are usually treated as one movie-length episode. Particularly when discussing themes and character development because they overlap, but I've had to split them because my video was too long and I want to keep each of these to between 10 to 15 minutes. So let's start with a quick plot summary. Guy breaks into school, blonde girl in tow. She says, "What was that?" He says, "Nothing." She says, "Good. Eek, she's a vampire." She kills him. Roll the title credits. Weird dreams, I'm awake, off to first day of school. Everyone's interested in the new girl. We meet Xander, we meet Willow, we meet Jesse, we meet Principal Flutie, we meet Cordelia. Cordelia's a bitch. We meet Giles. He offers the vampire book. Buffy says hell to the no. Dead guy in locker, Buffy investigates, vampire caused it. Tells Giles, has a Slayer talk. Xander overhears. We meet the very attractive Angel, cut to the bronze. Buffy gives Willow terrible advice. Buffy can't hone, vampire takes Willow, Buffy goes looking, finds Cordelia, kills her social life. We meet the Master, Buffy runs into Xander. They find vampires with Willow and Jesse. Buffy stakes a vampire, kicks the other one's butt, Willow et al. Run. Buffy is surprised by Luke and the ep ends with her in a precarious position. Now onto our discussion. In the opening scenes, we are presented with a guy breaking into a school with a girl in tow. The girl is your typical blonde that, according to every horror trope, is about to die horribly. On the creation of Buffy in the DVD commentary, Joss Whedon says it came from watching a horror movie and seeing the typical ditzy blonde walk into a dark alley and getting killed. I just thought that I would love to see a scene where the ditzy blonde walked into a dark alley, a monster attacks her, and she kicks its ass. Now Darla is an extra flip to those expectations. The cute blonde doesn't kick the monster's ass, she is the monster. Now we'll talk about subversion of expectations often in these episode analyses, because while the concept of Buffy was built on it, it still manages at times to fall into a number of genre cliches. Now we get to see Joss's idea played out just a few scenes later when Buffy is being followed on her way to the bronze, and goes into the back alley, which is of course a dead end. Again, by horror tropes, the blonde running into a dead end should mean she's about to die. But as Joss said before, the whole show was conceived on flipping this horror trope. And this is Buffy, and she's no ordinary blonde. She gets to jump on her stalker, who turns out to be Angel. Now, while not quite a subversion of expectations, more a redirect to mislead, this interaction between Buffy and Angel helps set up the big reveal in episode 7, that Angel is a vampire with a soul. He says, "I know what you're thinking. But don't worry, I don't bite." This immediately makes us think he's human, or at least something else, definitely not a vampire. So when we do get that reveal in episode 7 that he is a vampire, it's more of a shock, because this interaction, our introduction to Angel, led us to believe that he wasn't. Now much is often made of Buffy not wanting to be the Slayer, of this power being thrust upon her and her never having a choice in the matter. People often talk about how these first 2 episodes are Buffy making that choice, deciding that she will be the Slayer, that she will be the one girl in all the world. Some even go so far as saying that she has rejected being the Slayer, but I think they're actually wrong to draw this conclusion. Buffy has already accepted that she is the Slayer, that she is the one girl in all the world. And even though, when Giles talks about his role as a watcher is to prepare her, she says to him, "Prepares me for what? For getting kicked out of school? For losing all of my friends? For having to spend all of my time fighting for my life and never getting to tell anyone because I might endanger them? Go ahead, prepare me." Despite this, she has actively accepted that she is the Slayer. Now while we see that consistently throughout the 2 episode opener, it is there, plain as day, in her first interaction with Xander. She knows she is the Slayer. She knows that it is her and her alone that has to face the vampires. So much so that on her first day of school in a new town, where she doesn't believe there can be that much evil, in the middle of the day, she is carrying a stake. If she had hoped to leave it all behind, that the move would enable her to just be some normal teenager, why would she be carrying the weapon of a Slayer? Okay. And we see her immediately go into Slayer mode on learning that there was a dead guy stuffed into a locker. Her first instinct is, how did he die? Were there any marks? And then immediately goes to investigate. She tells Giles she doesn't care, that she's retired. Okay? But she clearly does care. Her actions indicate this. Now we see her reluctance again later when she meets Angel. In the alley scene, he said he wants the same thing as her. He says to kill them all. She says he's wrong, and that she just wants to be left alone. What we do get an inkling of, again at the Bronze, is that Buffy is a different type of Slayer from the Slayers that have come before her. Giles talks about abilities she should have, of the dreams, which she does, and the ability to recognise a vampire by honing in and sensing them. She points out a vampire based entirely on what he's wearing, but she can't hone and sense them, and we never see her get this ability. And already in this conversation with Giles, she is walking back her previous statement saying that she's retired, when she says that if she encounters them, she will slay them. She's just not going to go all extracurricular on it. Now when she realises Willow has gone off with a vampire, and she's looking for her, she improvises a stake, again acknowledging that she is the vampire slayer, and that it's her responsibility. She states as much to Giles when he asks, so what do we do? Buffy replies, I'll take care of it, again owning that responsibility. When he suggests going with her, she says, don't worry, one vampire I can handle. So if she has accepted that she's the Slayer, what then is causing her inner turmoil? What she is railing against is the history of the Slayer, the whole she alone aspect of it. Because she doesn't want the loneliness, the isolation. Right? And she says, this is Sunnydale, how bad and evil can be there. This links back to the whole high school as hell metaphor. One of the central themes for the first 3 seasons, because we all go through a period in high school where we grow and change. Our expectations and experiences of the world change, and that experience is a very personal one. So everyone goes through a period of feeling isolated and alone. This is a recurring theme in Buffy. We'll see it pop up in later episodes like Out of Mind, Out of Sight, where someone is so ignored and alone they literally become invisible. Or Earshot, where Buffy can hear everyone's thoughts and conveys to Jonathan that everyone is going through something. The isolation experienced by the Slayer is revisited time and time again. Now I've already talked about how Buffy has accepted that she is the chosen one and that this burden is hers to bear. But what we learn in the first episode is why she has accepted it. And that is because at heart, Buffy's actually a moral person. We see that in the way she looks at Cordelia when Cordelia is teasing Willow. And how, despite Cordelia's warning about knowing your losers and avoiding them, she actively seeks out Willow. Now it could have been argued that this is mainly for her own benefit, in order to catch up on her classes, but she specifically chose Willow, clearly an outcast to do this with. It reinforces to us as well that Buffy has changed. Whereas she was once like Cordelia, and would probably have joined in teasing Willow, Buffy herself now feels like an outsider, that she has more in common with someone like Willow than she does with someone like Cordelia. It is this empathy for others that is the reason Buffy is at least resigned to the fact that she's the Slayer. Because she knows she has the power to stop them, to stop the vampires and the demons. And to her it would be an immoral choice to have that power and not use it to prevent the suffering of others. Now, a couple of small minor things. First, chosen family is an important aspect in all of Buffy. And so important is it that Joyce mentions it in one of the first scenes. I know you're going to make friends right away. Just think positive. One of life's greatest challenges is starting out in a new location and finding people who you gel with. In this episode, we start to see that family come together. Buffy, Willow, Xander and Giles. And the strength of this chosen family in the future will save Buffy repeatedly. Prophetic dreams become a staple in the Buffy universe. They are seemingly a gift from the powers that be, in most cases. For example, we see that Doyle receives them in Angel and uses them to lead Angel investigations to cases, to people that need their help. And then this is passed on to Cordelia. It would appear that the prophetic dreams of the Slayer may share the same source, though this is never confirmed. Prophetic dreams become particularly relevant in Season 2, when Buffy's prophetic dreams are mirrored by the vampire Drusilla's own visions. Now, second chances and redemption is a big theme in the Buffyverse, the major examples obviously being Angel, whose entire existence is a redemption arc, and Faith, who goes from hero to villain and back to hero. But we see second chances even in this very first episode with Principal Faludi and Buffy's first interaction. Him giving her a second chance, tearing up her transcript. It takes on some major caveats after he actually reads the transcript, but it is still a second chance. Now, on the note of the transcript, her transcript refers to Hemery High in LA, which was the high school in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. But her transcripts indicate that she burned down the gym. And Buffy says it was full of vampires, I mean asbestos, which didn't happen in the movie. However, that did happen in Joss Whedon's original script, before the studio altered many aspects of it. So at most we can consider Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie an alternate reality history as opposed to our Buffy's actual history. Our actual Buffy's history is Joss's original script, which was used to create a comic released by Dark Horse called The Origin. Now, we often see in Buffy on multiple watchings things in earlier episodes that are a portent of things to come, often seasons in advance. We see a couple of them here. Is it brilliant storytelling, story planning, or later appropriated? We'll often never know. The first is when Cordelia first meets Buffy, she knows Buffy is from Hemery High in LA and says, "I'd love to live in LA," which of course she does when she leaves Buffy at the end of Season 3 to join the cast of Angel. The second, in Buffy's meeting with Principal Faludi, he talks about getting kicked out of school, which happens to Buffy in Season 2. I hope you enjoyed this episode as we delve further into the Buffy universe. Okay? Please like the video, click for notifications, and subscribe today.